Live from New York. It's the show that is very... What in the world? What the heck? Oh, it's Thursday, but is it upset time already for the Cowboys? Oh, okay. Wow. Now that Dame is on the Bucks, Milwaukee skyrockets to title favorites, bro. Followed by the Celtics, Phoenix, the reigning champs in a wild display of disrespect. And finally, the Lakers, who, remember, saw something in that last quarter of Game 1 against Joe. He did. Don't worry, we'll be fine. I'm just saying, they should be higher up.
That's true.
So here's a graphic, Brew, about continuity and chemistry that can be read two ways. Last three champions played a lot of basketball together. Joker and Jamal, obviously Warriors played a ton, Giannis and Middleton. The previous two champions before that, LeBron and AD, didn't play a ton of games. Oddly, they were together for a decent amount of time. They just hurt. And then Kawhi was obviously a one-year rental that got a title. So the question is, knowing that superstars, we've seen it work, we've seen it haven't worked, how confident are you that Giannis and Dame will deliver a title to Milwaukee?
Well, look, confidence is really on a spectrum.
Okay.
All right, when we talk about NBA teams. I think you guys will like this.
Okay.
There's will win a championship.
Okay.
Should win a championship.
This is right.
And can win a championship.
This is great.
Right?
I do love this.
Yeah.
Now,
this is excellent.
You'll totally agree with this. Will. When the big three in Miami came together, it was like, there's no question. Whether they do it the first year, they're doing it.
Could win 7.
Durant and the Warriors.
Right.
There was no question.
Your Nets.
Well, no, the Nets were the next level over.
Oh, my bad.
Should.
That's right.
Didn't give themselves a chance. Injuries hit, the anti-vax, and then they just disbanded, all right? And then there's can. All right, and the cans are
the Celtics.
The Phoenix right now. I think the Celtics actually now are in the should category.
Okay.
Wow, Porzingis.
Doesn't mean they will, but they're in the should category. At some point, these guys should be able to get together. And I would put these Bucks at the top of the should category.
Oh, okay.
All right, I think they should be the favorites. Right now, I mean, we got time before we make our picks. Right now, I like them. I would pick them if I had to right now. But they're not as far as, like, definitely will. There's no question about that. So, look, they've got the two superstars. Dame, is he still in his prime? Look, last year he's averaged a career high, 32 points. It was his second best statistical year ever.
Yep.
A few years ago, he was 30 points, 8 assists. Last year, 32.7 assists. Threes were down slightly from the first year he was his best year.
It was a great bounce back from the year before last, where he was hurt and didn't look like quite the same.
It wasn't terrible. Still was like 25 points a game. But so Dame, I would say both in their prime, even though Dame might be toward the end of his prime, they fit together perfectly. And when you bring together superstars, that's critical.
So,
do they fit? Do they complement one another? These two do. The pick and roll is going to be fantastic. And look, here's a small little thing, because wing defenders is probably something that people are like, do they have that?
Yeah.
I think Jay Crowder is going to play a bigger role this year.
Got to be better.
Because Mike Budenholzer loved Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen.
Oh, that's interesting.
And played them. Some people in that organization were like, look, can we get Jay in there?
Sure.
Should we trade Connaughton just so he has to play somebody else? And so now I think you'll see Crowder, who theoretically is what they need.
Exactly right. If he can be the Crowder from a few years ago. So I actually believe the Bucks are in the will category.
Wow.
And not necessarily for this year, over the next couple, let's say.
What do you think the window? 2?
Well,
they better win.
They're both under contract for the next 2 years, so call it the next 2. I think, I know they hope and believe Giannis a year from now will sign an extension, but we know they're going to be together for the next 2 years.
Dame's age.
And so, and Dame's age, we'll see how. So here's why. I believe Giannis's destiny is supposed to be a top 10 guy all time. After the championship, I think everyone thought, he's going to be one of the problem with top 10s, there's only 10 spots.
Right.
So there's 8 guys I can think of that it's not realistic that no matter what he does over the next few years, he's jumping. LeBron, Kareem, Michael, Russell, Magic, Wilt, Duncan, Kobe. I don't think he has enough time left to jump those guys.
Okay.
So the guys in that 9 through 15-ish range, Kevin Durant, has been to 4 finals, won 2 rings. Dr. J.
Durant's not in the top 10 discussion.
Okay, no. I said in that 9 to 15 range. I'm just saying the guys in Giannis's current neighborhood, okay? Durant, 4 finals, 2 rings. Dr. J, 4 finals, 1 ring, but 2 rings in the ABA that we've got to give him some credit for. Steph, 6 finals, 4 rings. Shaq, 6 finals, 4 rings. West, 8 finals, 1 ring, but 8 finals. Dream, 3 finals, 2 rings. Bird, 5 finals, 3 rings. I think Giannis is in that neighborhood of a player. So you know what he does need to do? It's not about counting rings, but it is about deep playoff runs repeatedly and multiple championships. Unless you're Jerry West, we give you a pass. You ran up against Celtics. You made it the final game of the year 9 times. I think Dame is the perfect complementary piece. I think Giannis is that level of player. I expect this team to win a title in the next couple years. If they don't, then in my opinion, I was wrong about Giannis. Not like, oh, guys, but I was elevating him where he's rubbing elbows with Hakeem Olajuwon and Larry Bird and those guys. And so I expect Wildes, him, to be playing in the final game of the year each of the next 2 years and at least win 1. I expect that.
So I'm nervous, bro. Yesterday we were on a sugar high. We got big news. We blew up the rundown. We're like, yes, titles, here we go. Can't wait. This is going to work perfectly. And then I came down yesterday. I said, you know what, Wildes? All we've been talking about is the secret sauce of chemistry and continuity, and that's what drives team. Heat culture. We talked about, why do they take inferior talent and get to the finals? We're like, well, it's heat culture. Right. Talk about the Warriors. Why did the Warriors flame out? Is it because they weren't all of a sudden good at basketball? It's like, no, because Draymond messed up the culture of that team. So I think that we're not paying enough attention to continuity and chemistry. So here's the list of guys that I could see. I think it's an issue that we know that the Warriors' Big Three have played a lot of basketball. We've been waiting for the Celtics to take the next jump. We saw in the finals last year, wow, Joker and Jamal just kind of running these plays. They know where each other are. Yeah. Jimmy and Bam, of course, heat culture. LeBron and AD, it's a small number because they're always hurt. Kawhi, same thing with those guys. But those 2 big goose eggs at the end, I think it's going to be an issue. And I just wouldn't be surprised if we get to the final press conference,
we needed more time.
Yeah,
we had that freak injury in March that kind of derailed us.
Injury obviously could throw a monkey wrench in anybody's plans. But I think the key, chemistry is obviously important. Mm-hmm. But when your pieces fit, you can develop chemistry fairly easily. Like LeBron and Wade were never really a great basketball fit.
They were just so good. It was
right.
Okay.
They were, and so it took them a year, and it took Wade in the offseason saying, you know what, I'm going to step back. It's your team,
That's
LeBron.
Right.
But LeBron and AD, a better fit, they went in their first year together. We've seen the Boston Big Three. Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. Perfect fit. They went in their first year together. So these guys, like I said, right now they would be my pick because these 2 fit so well together.
LeBron's now been invoked twice by Wild, so I'd like to say something about him in relation to what we just saw, if I may.
Okay.
You guys, I'm sure, watch a lot of mob movies. We all do. They're great. Everyone, judges and talks about the guys who flip. I'd never do that. I'd never be a rat. And then all of a sudden, the feds get them in a room. They're in a bad spot, and they're talking about everybody. Everybody thinks
Act 3.
They would they would act a certain way. And then they're put in a position, they're like, oh, maybe I wouldn't. Everybody acts like the way LeBron has done business. All the stars. Oh, I wouldn't do that. The day LeBron signs with the Heat, Kevin Durant thumbs out a tweet. What happened? Everybody wanting to go after, go compete, right? Kawhi Leonard, when he was battling with LeBron, the media was telling us, he's such a low-maintenance guy. It's such a nice, change of pace. And then you find out, once he gets the power, pretty high maintenance.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard, I love it. I love Dame. Damian Lillard was held up as the bastion of team loyalty. Damian Lillard was asked about he and Bradley Beal and their loyalty to the Wizards and the Blazers a little over a year ago. Here's what Dame said. Until you realize, like LeBron did in Cleveland the first time around, this route is going to have no end. Giannis, listen, I'm not judging anyone, Giannis said, but it's important to me to be a Buck forever. Giannis said this in a Nike commercial, I think a little over a year, or in 2020, 3 years ago. Let's play it. Until there
he had a
wasn't.
plan B.
Until there wasn't. And so I guess the one person who hasn't applied to is Steph. But Steph's never had a reason for a wandering eye, right? Like, it's always been, it's like magic with the Lakers. Like, there's never a reason for it. And so the reason I bring it up is not to cast aspersions at all. But all of these guys eventually come to the place of, man, the organization is not the one getting run through the mud for not winning a title. I am. My name is.
Well, that's it.
And I'm going. And Giannis, again, people might be like, Giannis didn't leave. Giannis told the New York Times a couple weeks ago, man, I will leave if I need to because they are obligated to their own talents and abilities first and foremost.
It's the pressure when you're that level of player. The pressure is at some point, are you going to win the title?
Yep.
And then if you can't do it there, you got to go get with guys that you can.
Yep.
Okay, well done. Meanwhile, Jrue Holiday on the Blazers for at least a little while. Here's what friend of the show Brian Windhorst said. It is possible that a team that acquires Jrue, despite this star pairing in Milwaukee, Giannis and Dame, could feel better about their championship chances than they did a couple of days ago. So, Brew, who should go out and try to get Jrue Holiday?
Well, look, wherever Jrue goes, because he's going to a contender.
Yep.
Okay?
And he's
They're
awesome.
going to be very much in the hunt. In fact, the team I think that I would like to see him go to is Boston.
Really?
And if he goes to Boston for, say, Malcolm Brogdon.
Do they want to move?
They might have to give up Robert
Time
Williams
Lord,
III.
but they have Kristaps.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They might very well
get
move
40
ahead of Milwaukee as the favorite.
Oh,
because
wow.
no,
Okay.
hold on. Jrue Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. What has Boston under Joe Mazzulla? They've kind of lost that defensive identity. Jrue brings that back.
True.
Okay, and yet he's a better offensive player, a better scorer, a better shooter than Marcus Smart, who was part of your defensive identity. And what do they lack at the end of games, Nick? They don't have a decision maker. So they put the ball in Tatum's hands or Brown's hands, and those guys make mistakes. They turn the ball over. If you put it in Jrue Holiday's hands, now you've got that decision maker to go with those guys.
Hold up.
If he goes to Boston for
Boston's-
that package,
Boston's
they are
what,
going to
Lyles?
be
Go
major.
ahead.
I mean, that is just a quiet indictment on the Boston Celtics. That Jason Tatum perennial MVP conversation
Right.
being in person and the most expensive
The word
player
for that was candidate.
candidate. I was
Being in person. Yeah.
But I
go
want to
ahead.
hear, because I don't think I'm indicting them. What was I?
No,
what was I?
he
what was
thinks you are.
The
because-
MVP candidate and the biggest contract in NBA history.
But they need someone
and they
to
need
run the
someone
show.
to run the show is odd.
They're not point guards.
It's just
And
odd.
everybody that can handle the basketball doesn't mean they're a great decision maker.
Right. I agree with you, Brew. I think Boston is going to be on the phone. The team that I would like to see do it more than anything is the team that once upon a time, my pal Geralabos Vulgaris ran this team and said, you know who the perfect backcourt mate for Luka Doncic is? Jrue Holiday. The Mavs would be better with Jrue than Kyrie.
True.
And if you could work
I
out
would
a
agree with
three-team
that.
trade, if you could work out a three-team trade, where the Lakers probably have to be involved because not a lot of teams want Kyrie, where Jrue goes to
Okay, to
Dallas.
Dallas.
Kyrie goes to the third team, I would assume the Lakers, or if you wait until the end of the year, maybe teams will trust Kyrie more, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
and assets to Portland. I think Jrue is perfect for Luka. I'm going to tell you another team that I'm sure is calling, Philadelphia. I think they need an adult. It would be a great defensive team. Jrue is not going to be afraid by the moment. And the team everyone keeps bringing up that I will admit would scare me is Golden State. If Golden State reships Chris Paul,
That's weird.
in a
To
three-team
Portland.
trade.
But think of it like, and you say,
That's-
well, why would Portland win? He is a veteran that can help those young guys.
No, I think it'd be a three-team trade. I don't think Chris Paul goes to Portland. I think that would also
I'm
have
just
to be a
saying there
three-team
might
trade.
Portland probably wants to get more out of it than
Or
a Chris
Kuminga
Paul.
probably. It'd
But
have to be
remember,
Chris Paul and
but
Kuminga.
that's the thing. If you take on Chris Paul, so you can get a Kuminga or some of the other
that
young
one
guys.
would be dynamic.
Because
That
Chris, look at what he did in Oklahoma City,
that's
just
true.
helping those guys win.
But he's going to want the ball.
No, he wouldn't even start in
He
Portland.
wants to start.
Well,
He wants
you
to
gotta
start
realize-
for the Warriors.
Hold
You don't
on.
think he's going to start for
I
the
agree with you. I'm saying
Trailblazers?
I think.
There's no way
do
he'd
do
start.
you
I
agree
wouldn't
that
start
Jrue
him.
would fit better on Golden State than Chris?
Of course.
Yeah.
He's just at this point he's
a better
yeah,
player,
yeah,
and I think he'd fit
absolutely.
more.
And he gives them the defense.
Dallas should do it. by the way.
Dallas, that makes sense.
Kyrie likes Dallas now. He just
Don't care. He and Luka are not going to be a smart
They got
fit.
they got a ceiling that there's no question there.
Meanwhile, let's check in on the Suns. Third part of this deal. Ayton basically traded for a full bench unit. Devin Booker, you brought this up, Nick, and I put it in the read. The only member of the finals team that lost to Giannis still on the Suns. I was shocked by this.
Yeah.
Ownership and coaches included.
Yeah.
How much pressure is Phoenix under to
And that's their
win now?
projected starting five, by the way, we should say. We think it'll be a Kobe, but we don't know.
And you look at the question that says how much pressure is on KD. So let's focus on him.
Sure.
I think I'm going to surprise you guys. Very little.
Really?
If any. Pressure is the outgrowth of expectations. Let's be honest.
Okay.
English major.
Do we really expect, as great as he is, as much promise as this team has, do we really expect Kevin Durant to win a championship? He's going to be 35 tomorrow. Okay?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, KD. He's missed 191 games in the last 4 years. That's an average of 47 games a year. He's not even playing half the games. And last year he got hurt in warm-ups. Okay? Then hasn't been past the second round since he left Golden State. And then the last 2 years, he hasn't been KD great. He's been great. Hasn't been KD great. In the playoffs, he was outplayed clearly by Jason Tatum 2 years ago, shot 38%. And then last year, Devin Booker was the Suns' best player in the playoffs. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying they can't win a ring. I like this team. But is expectations? I mean, I think we expect more of Jokic now. We expect more of Giannis in the crew. Boston.
I agree with that on the individual player level. What I will tell you is Vegas has them as the favorites in the West. Vegas has, you see it right there. They have them as favorites over Denver, which makes no sense to me. I think it is very odd. This is why I didn't like the Bradley Beal trade, for the record. Because it left with the only bullet they had left in their gun to acquire depth and talent, DeAndre
They got
Ayton.
some depth. You don't think they have depth?
I certainly don't think they have they don't have point guards or front court guys. That seems like a problem. They just have wings galore. And you're going to try, every team in the West has to be thinking about, if we play the fella from Serbia in a series, what are we going to do? And I don't think Nurkic can do it. And they don't have the picks or players to acquire someone else. And I'm not saying anyone can handle Jokic.
No,
but you can't just give them.
I think that's fair. You got to put someone there, and I don't think
And
Nurkic's
even in that starting lineup we showed you, they don't have a point guard. I know they're like,
Well,
Devin
that's what
Booker's
they
gonna
don't
play
have.
point guard.
It could be Boston West. Like I said, we'll see Booker and Beal. Now, they can handle the ball. They can distribute. But will they make the great decisions? And even KD in that
If they
role
don't win, if he doesn't go on a deep playoff run, like a finals appearance at some point with Phoenix, it's going to be one of the weirdest basketball careers ever. Just the guy was
Really, you think?
Yeah, because just to go from perennial conference finals appearances and NBA finals appearances over the beginning of his career to, like you said, all of a sudden not being past around 2.5 decades in the smack dab middle of his prime with hand-picked teams is weird. It's just a weird.
Well, he was with his hand-picked team. Well, you're right, Brooklyn.
Yeah,
he did.
that's what I'm saying.
But injuries. Injuries and other stuff.
Oh, this wild.
And they
Quit
give
promoting your segment.
Not my
on
segment,
Friday.
our segment.
Is that even today?
No.
Saturday,
calling
You
it
got
my show.
I'm back.
No one has ever called it your
just
show.
did.
I
My
said your
goodness.
segment.
Are the Cowboys on upset alert?
This
Good question.
guy's ego
Next
is
up, first
out
things
of
first.
control.
Fox Sports Channel on SiriusXM.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.